ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Akron's hottest and fastest growing show. I'm your host, Hank Forrester, coming to you live from Stakeout Studios, high atop the bridge overlooking Acme number 1. It's been a while since we've been here. We're so excited. Once again, to be partnering with Acme Fresh Markets as we zoom into 2020. Tonight's show, however, is going to be hosted by Sarah Wide.
How you doing, Hank?
Oh, you know, I'm just living the dream.
Always living the dream. Today's episode is brought to us by Sheena's Platinum Movements. We want to give you guys the phone number for Sheena's. As you guys know, I love dance, so we always want to promote dance. And the phone number is 330-331-9430. So if you're looking for a new dance studio, check out Sheena's Platinum Movements. And then, Hank.
Desert Song.
Tell us about Desert Song Massage Therapy.
She makes me feel better.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so I'm not a massage guy. I don't like being touched. Okay, and I know that sounds goofy or giddy or whatever, but she has a way of like it's like she takes your muscles apart, like outside of an out of body experience, works on them and then puts them all back together. I'm not even kidding. I can't even describe it. Like, she did all this stuff with my head and my neck and everything, and I'm like, what are you doing to me right now? But I felt exponentially better.
Awesome. So, I actually really, really do need to make an
there.
Yeah.
So Dorothy's in the Cuyahoga Falls area. Her number's 330-221-0886. And she's amazing. Okay.
All right, cool.
And then we got a brand new sponsor. Let's do the go ahead and bless them.
Go ahead and bless them there.
Brand new sponsor. We've got Palm Meadows Animal Assisted Therapy. We're going to be starting out with their story in the middle of the week this week. Okay. They're in Granger Road, Medina, and they use animal team members for cognitive behavioral therapy for veterans and people that have other types of issues. Okay. And they're a really neat organization. We will share their story on Wednesday. I'm heading out there.
Nice.
So you can get a hold of them. They have e-gala sessions. So whatever those certifications are you need, she has that. EAGALA, whatever that stands for. We'll go over that on Wednesday. Okay. But she's very affordable. Her number is 330-542-8555.
All right, cool. You'll be able to find out more about that on Wednesday,
right?
On
Wednesday.
Yep. All right, we're going to meet our guests. Hello. We have Bethany. Hi, and we have Allison.
Hi.
How are you guys?
We're doing great.
Good.
Right?
Ready for school to start, like yesterday.
Yeah, me too. So we're all moms. This is the mom show today.
What?
So first of all, we always like to find out with all of our guests what their Akron story is, why they love Akron, why they're in Akron, or 330 surrounding areas too. So who wants to start?
I can start.
Yeah.
So I actually grew up in Copley, so I lived here until college. I went to college at Baldwin-Wallace. I spent some time in the military. We lived at Fort Lewis, Washington, and this was supposed to be a temporary stopping point when we got out, but we've been here for 10 years now, so clearly not temporary. I like it because it's a great area to raise kids. There's a lot of opportunities in terms of like the metro parks, access to Cleveland, Playhouse Square. I mean,
right.
It's kind of like the best of everything in terms of all of those kind of things. But it's also easy to take a day trip to Pittsburgh or take a trip to DC and you can drive there. It's not really terrible in terms of drive time. So I like that.
So location as well.
Location is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, tell us your Akron story.
Yeah. So I am originally a Jersey girl. So I was born and raised in New Jersey. And I've moved a bunch with my husband's work. We moved to Akron in February of 2017.
Okay.
So it's been almost 3 years, which is
longer,
great.
Yeah, that's exciting.
And we love it here. We moved here with my husband's work. He works for Smucker's, and I've lived in a lot of places, but I have to say Akron is one of my favorite for sure.
Good.
I think there's a ton to do. I joined Mom's Club actually before I moved here.
Okay.
And everyone was really helpful and hooked me up with dentists, doctors, all sorts of things. And I've met really amazing people here. And we're not planning on moving ever again.
Oh, I was just going to ask you, do you think your husband's job is going to move you again? So
No.
you don't think so? He'll
No.
be sticking around.
Yeah.
I've heard Smucker's is a great company to work for. I know people down
he
there.
loves it.
So that's great. So we want to find out about your families.
Okay.
And I'm going to remind our audience about my family and why I can relate to you guys too. I have 2 girls. I have a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old, and we live right here in West Akron. If you guys know where the new Whole Foods is down the street, we're close to that area. And we just love Akron. We moved to Akron we've lived in like surrounding 330 areas. So we've lived in Cuyahoga Falls, we've lived in Kent. Again, love all those places still, but we just decided we wanted to settle in Akron and just love on Akron. And that's our kind of Akron story with my kids.
Yeah.
But what about you guys? What do your families look like?
So I have 2 boys. They are 3 and 4.5. So they bring the crazy to the house. And then I have a 9-year-old daughter.
Okay.
So we've got quite a bit of difference in the age. So the boys are in preschool at Herbrick, and my daughter goes to Arrowhead. So it's always interesting in the morning getting everybody out the door.
Really busy mornings.
Yeah, busy mornings.
And what about your kids?
And I have a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old. So they're a year, 9 months apart. And just like Bethany mentioned, my boys bring the crazy too.
We do.
Do you have 2 boys?
Yes,
Okay.
2 boys.
Bazinga.
And they definitely keep us on our feet. They're always on the go. And they make life interesting. You know, it's never a dull
They're
moment.
why I don't have nice things.
No, you
Yes,
can't have
right?
nice things.
Why would you want to, right?
You need like glass breaking now.
I was at a good friend's house, and she has a lot of really pretty things. And I brought my 2 girls over, and they were just into everything. And she was following them around,
Oh, yeah.
like putting down all the glass things.
They don't have children win.
Yeah. So, which is totally fine. You should have a lot of nice things if you want
Someday.
to. So,
Just don't bring them over our houses, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They might get
Because we
broken.
can't,
No
anything could
promises.
happen. So
Yeah. So,
Bazinga.
both of you guys kind of have your own things going on.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to talk about those things. We're going to talk about Tupperware and Hula Frog
Yes,
with
ma'am.
you over here. And we're going to talk about Not a Morning Mom on this side. So when did you guys decide, this is more of a general question, that you wanted to do your own thing? When did you decide that?
So actually, it wasn't so much that I decided, it was kind of the way everything happened. So when I had my daughter, I ended up with some really bad eye issues, like serious, went temporarily blind in my left eye, couldn't drive, like the whole 9 yards. So I didn't go back to the job that I was planning to go back to. Not that I loved it, but I had
It was the
originally
plan.
planned to go back. But I couldn't drive for almost 6 months. So that kind of ended that. So she was about 18 months old when I decided that I was going to have a Tupperware party. And like the more I thought about it, I was just like, you know what, I love her, but I'm so bored at home. I just want to like be around other adults occasionally. There was a lot of Tupperware that I wanted that we just couldn't afford to have. And so that's kind of how I started. And people laugh now, but like when I started doing Tupperware, like even sitting in front of the 5 of us here and talking about it freaked me out. Like, no way, I'm not doing this. I don't know you people. Like, it scared me to death. So for me, Tupperware gave me a lot of confidence to be able to talk to other people. And so I've been doing it for about 7 years now. And then Hula Frog came along because I got tired of having to go to a million different sites to find stuff to do with my kids. Like, yes, the library has a great site, but you have to go to each individual branch, and then you have to find the stuff that's age appropriate. And then if you want to go to the parks, it's a whole nother website. And some of the websites are better than others, and I happened to see an ad. I was, what you nurse a baby and you browse Facebook or the internet or whatever it is that you do. Maybe you binge watch a show on Netflix. And I happened to see it, and I was like, I wonder what this is. Like, I'm going to check it out. So it was the first time I've interviewed in like 7 years for a position. I told my husband, I was like, I'm so nervous. He's like, you're going to be fine. It'll, it's no big deal. But I mean, when you haven't done something for that long, you just deer in the
hard.
headlights.
And this was for Hula Frog?
For Hula Frog,
Okay.
yeah. So Hula Frog, while I work on my own, there are more parameters for it.
Okay.
So there are expectations of how you run your site, how you talk to advertisers, those kind of things. I do have an advertising team, so that's nice. I can pass a lot of that off to them, and they handle the nitty gritty details.
So for all the people out there that have no idea what Hula Frog is, let's go back to the basics.
Okay.
So let's explain.
Hold on. Let me interject. Tupperware.
Yeah.
Tupperware.
Gotta talk about my
Let's go
cousin.
back to
Oh,
Tupperware.
Gotta
yeah.
talk about my cousin.
I
So-
think about
His
that.
cousin?
Doug.
We're a Tupperware family.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Got it.
So,
Like this.
my aunt. So I
Product
grew up with
placement.
Tupperware because my aunt was a big Tupperware salesman in the Pittsburgh area. So
Saleswoman.
what did I say? Salesman?
Whatever.
Yeah,
It's okay.
whatever. Okay. So
Person.
she was.
Yeah.
While she was
She was an entrepreneur.
she was in charge of Rubber City Tupperware.
So
that
that
right?
sounds like distributorship.
Yeah, she was a distributor. She was the big deal.
She
Okay?
was a big deal then,
But
yeah.
the point is, my entire household grew up with all this Tupperware. Okay, well,
And it's changed.
my cousin started to sell it under his mom.
Yeah.
And at this moment, right this second, he may even watch this tonight. He is the executive sales
Doug.
director for Tupperware North America.
Okay.
So
Do
he's
you know
like,
him then?
I actually
Name
talked-
dropping.
I,
a little
made,
bit
I
right now?
made her seek him out at a conference.
I knew
I'm
who
like,
he was, but
go
I didn't
get a
realize
picture.
the connection. So I have a picture with him and Chris, who is my regional.
Yep.
And I don't remember what we were.
Who
the
cares?
comments were. It was a lot of fun.
It was great.
but yeah.
Point being, my cousin is there's big deal, and then there's above that.
He
my
also
cousin's-
said you have to do a party for me.
I know. My cousin's a massive deal with Tupperware, and as a result, I mean, we're still a Tupperware family.
Yeah.
And now I have a local Tupperware lady.
All right. Well, since we went back to Tupperware, see, I was just going to flip flop them. I was going to come back. But since we went back to that, tell everybody a little bit more about Tupperware, what you do with it.
Sure.
We'll
So
go there
for me, what I love about it, obviously on the go solution. So you're not gonna go to the gas station, spend $2 or $3 on a beverage. You can take it on the go. What I like about this is brand new actually.
Yeah, that's really nice.
It has lock. So I can
Oh,
lock
nice.
this up and throw this in my purse, which is what I do. And if it's sideways
If it's
or upside down,
it's
it
okay.
doesn't leak. Like, it's not going to pop open and spill everywhere, and I'm going to hit the microphone. Sorry.
No, you're good.
But cooking was never something I was very passionate about. I knew I needed to eat healthier, but the thought of stepping into the kitchen and tackling that scares me. And my husband loves to cook. I'll take baking any day, but we all know baking usually adds the calories. So
And you have to do the cooking.
Not if
You have to
everybody
eat
eats
regular
it.
Right, we have
Then
to eat regular
there's no
food.
calories.
I guess you could
Pie.
just do pie, but it would not be
Yeah.
as good.
There are no calories at the Tupperware party. But so the Tupperware is the vehicle that's allowed me to learn to cook better, healthier, in ways that are easier. Because sometimes, obviously, my boys are 17 and a half months apart. I didn't always have the time to stand in the kitchen for an hour to put together a meal.
Right.
So if you happen to go to Instagram, I'm TW Beth. I did post our dinner from tonight and yesterday, and so we do chili in our stack cooker in my microwave. It takes 25 minutes, start to finish, done. And then while we're eating dinner, because I have 2 of those products, I put the other one in, and then I freeze that for later. So I have a meal for a night where I don't have time to do it, and then that night all I have to do is make cornbread, because chili without cornbread is sacrilegious. So it's given me the opportunity to just have healthy meals that don't really involve a lot of time. They have a blog that's great. We have a chef in-house at home office that does all these amazing recipes, and they're meant to be for families that need quick, easy meals so that you can still gather around the table and spend the time with your family, because let's be honest, it's hard to do.
Yeah.
So that's
So lots
what I
of
love
good
about
on
it.
the
Yeah.
on the go solutions
On the
for
go,
people.
pantry
and-
storage. I mean, there's so much you can't really. So at a party, we would pick what we're focusing on. So maybe you want to redo your pantry. We would talk about kitchen organization. But
Ooh, I
maybe
could use that.
Allison needs, freezer meals. we do stuff like that.
Yes.
You know, or it could be as simple as, hey, we're
But I
all
need
going
all
to
of
get
it.
together and make a meal for you to take home tonight. It can
Yeah.
be whatever you need it to be, and that's what I like.
So if someone wants to contact you about that, how
Yeah,
do they go
so
about doing that?
I'm on Facebook, or the real easy way is all my information is on my website. It's just twbeth.com.
Okay.
But yeah, feel free to reach out to me. I try to answer it as fast as I can. 3 kids, text messages are always better than phone calls.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty
All right.
simple. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we'll come back to Hula Frog.
And we'll do Allison.
Yeah, let's talk to you for a minute. So you do
Yeah.
Not a Morning Mom, and I don't know too much about this, so I'm just interested. Let's go to the basics.
Sure.
Tell me about it. Tell our audience out there. Yeah.
Well, this is just, I don't know, just
She
a
has
mug.
a cuter mug.
Yeah, you don't want to see the actual Not a Morning Mom mug because it's, well, not a morning momish. But anyway, so I started Not a Morning Mom. I mentioned before that I've moved a bunch. So with my husband's work, and I know Bethany mentioned before, like when you're nursing in the middle of the night, you just kind of like want to keep yourself busy.
Right.
Well, when I lived in Omaha, Nebraska in 2015, when I was up in the middle of the night, I would be flipping articles to Flipboard. I created a parenting and kids magazine on Flipboard.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I mean,
just in your spare time.
just so I could stress myself out about what I should be doing as a parent or
Right.
what, you
Most
know.
people watch Netflix. You created a magazine.
I just
I know. I
like
was
to
thinking I like read books sometimes.
worry
Yeah.
about things. But anyway,
Try to sleep
yeah,
in the gym.
you know.
Anyway, keep going.
So I would be flipping articles like into this magazine, and little did I know that I was getting followers. I want to say I maybe have about 3,000 followers now, but I didn't really know, or I didn't really care. I
just
wasn't
doing it
really
for
thinking
fun.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I got contacted by flip.edu to be a featured magazine in their like early childhood and development like category. So
great.
I said, yeah, sure. And then I thought to myself, I should be flipping my own content and I should have my own brand. And that's how I created Not a Morning Mom. And I thought, well, what can I call myself, or what can I call my brand? And some people don't believe this, but I'm really not a morning person. And if you ask my husband, I mean, you could just look at his face and he'll say, yeah, she's not a morning person. I don't like people to talk to me in the morning.
You sound like my husband.
Yeah.
Well, you just even
Words.
said that to me earlier. You said I made my kids' lunches already for tomorrow because I'm not a morning person.
Yes.
That-
So
she's living up to her brand.
I'm a planner. But yeah, so I decided that I was going to own this brand and create my own website, notamorningmom.com. And really, my point of Not a Morning Mom is for everybody to be okay with what they're not good at, and also to just share parenting stories and experiences so other people can see parenting isn't always easy. It isn't always perfect. It's messy. It's crazy sometimes. Your kids are crazy. You're crazy. Everyone around you is crazy. And sometimes on social media, you just see the polished version of
Oh, yeah.
everybody, and their hair is air blown and
Right.
like,
You don't see the storm behind the picture.
yeah. So unlike Bethany, I mean, Bethany's really got her businesses, which I admire. Mine is really just, I don't know. I could say it's still in the infancy stage. I started it in 2015. I recently got my own legit logo. One of my really good
Which
friends.
is awesome.
Yeah.
Exciting.
One of my really good friends from Cincinnati. I'll do a little name dropping because I guess that's what we're doing here
Yeah,
with
why not?
Tupperware before, right?
Go ahead.
My friend Allie Davis, who I've known for quite a while, she's a graphic designer, and she, said, I'll do your logo. But I'm still kind of trying to figure out how to make more of a brand. But yeah, I really enjoy connecting with people and helping other moms feel like it's okay for them to be who they are and want to be a better version of themselves.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a platform for people to connect.
Yeah.
And then do you blog on there? Are you blogging different kinds of articles? What else could they find if they go to your website?
Yeah, so I have my notamorningmom.com website. They can find like my blog posts, which I try to blog about, what's going on in my life, inspirational stories or tips. And then I have links to like my other sites.
Okay.
I'm on Instagram. I'm on
Well, and you do your
Facebook.
own quotes and stuff too.
Yeah,
which I
I've been
like.
recently, Bethany told me about Photify, which if you haven't heard of it, it's kind of amazing. But it's free and
It's an app.
It's an app, yeah. And I paid like really like small amount to put my logo on my quotes that I post. So
Oh,
I'm trying to
nice.
brand myself more and yeah, just inspire
So
other moms.
It's expanding. It will
Yeah.
continue to expand. It sounds like you have an idea of what you want to do. Yeah, inspire other moms. And so let's go into blogging, because you're both kind of bloggers, and we'll come back to
Yeah,
what you
mine's
do
a little
too.
different,
A
but
little
yeah.
bit different. How do we interact with you well? Do we go on all the social media? Like, what is the best way to interact with a blogger? With your site, even if you want to go into
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great question. And I think that's something that I'm trying to figure out. I guess like Bethany mentioned, like instant messages and like that sort of thing is a lot easier because, of course, if you're trying to like talk with someone, your kids will act like they're murdering each other.
Right, of course.
You know, but
I always tell them if there's blood, then interrupt me. But please, if there's no bleeding, then like
Right.
life, limb, or otherwise.
and a lot of my interaction right now is through like comments on Facebook. I've gotten feedback recently on my blog, like I need to make it more interactive because right now I'm more pushing out content and I know that. So I think for me,
So we brainstorm together. We meet up at the Cafe Arnone and sit and talk about like where we want to take things.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's
That's
helpful,
awesome.
I think.
yeah, I'm just still working on like I'm a very extroverted person, but I'm trying to connect the dots with like using social media in a more interactive sort of way. Because right now it's more of like, hey, I want to write about this. Here you go. But I want to be able to take it to the next level where it's more of like, how am I like getting feedback from other people? So I would take it. I mean, if people want to message me on Facebook, if there's certain things they want me to blog about
Yeah.
or certain things they want me to talk about, I did start my own podcast and it's kind of not really going anywhere right now, but it's one episode.
One episode.
It's awesome.
All right.
One
Well,
is better than zero, right?
I totally understand that because I've done one episode of something as well, not a podcast, but it's a starting place for you, and you can keep going with that. And if you do message her, I do want to say this because this is important: constructive criticism only. No, nothing mean. We always want to be constructive in our
Appreciate
comments.
correct- Like we appreciate the constructive criticism because then we can take it and run with it and change.
Right.
It is helpful.
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
So-
So let's go to what you do.
Okay,
So tell us about
so-
Hula Frog for someone who's never seen it before. I know a little bit
Frog,
about
you
it.
know a
but-
little bit. You said you subscribed. So
Yep.
what Hula Frog is it's basically a resource for parents to find local events to do with their kids. It is entirely free to subscribe to. So as a parent, you pay nothing for the content. The only thing that is gated on my site is the hot list because they do take a long amount of time to put together. So that is a subscriber only content.
So what is the hot list?
So a hot list could be all the free ways to play in Akron in January, and there's over 150 of them. And so if you're looking for each day of the week, you can go through and find what's going on. It could be all the Santa sightings. That was something I just did recently.
That's fun.
It could be every single place that I'm aware of that has children's birthday parties that maybe you don't necessarily know about.
Okay.
So it just depends on like what the focus is. Obviously, towards summertime, I do a list of all the preschool age summer camps, and then I do one for school age because those are going to be very different offerings, based on the ages and stuff. I do have a Facebook page that's linked for that.
Okay.
And
that
so
is-
that has different content than you'll find on the website. That's going to have more of like the funny memes and like things along those lines. Like if you know of an awesome business that maybe I don't have listed, that's a great place to be like, hey, like I love this place. You don't happen to have them on there because sometimes places open and I don't know that they've opened.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always looking to add to the site and make the content better. So the Facebook page is definitely an easy way to, if you have an immediate need, that's an easy way to reach me. You can always email. I do check that email, but I check that once, maybe twice a day. Like, because, again, I have 3 kids.
Right.
So I set times to do that. And then if we switch over to Tupperware, again, I have a Facebook page. I do have an Instagram that's kind of a mix of personal and business. So like if you want to kind of like see what my life is like, see some of the other like things that I'm interested in, that's a great way to do it. And I'll throw in little bits of like Tupperware, like here's the meal we made tonight, or here's a recipe, things like that.
And what we can actually have you guys do is type your Instagram and your Facebook on the bottom of this video. So we'll have you do that, or
After
a website after
Perfect.
we're done.
And
And
that's
then you guys can pull them up that way, because then it's a little bit
so
easier.
like on my Facebook page for Tupperware, that's where you're gonna find like if I've done a demo video of a product or like something along those lines, personal pictures of things I've made using the products, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
I really like Hula Frog. I had no idea that you were attached to it when I signed up for it. So it was something that I found, I think, at the consignment sale that you were talking about earlier, Rialana's. But it's really cool, and definitely for you moms out there, because
or dads,
yeah, absolutely. It puts all of this stuff together, and you don't have to go searching through.
And I
100
think a lot of
websites,
times, like what people don't realize is you can actually go on the site and review an event or a business. So like if you really like a business, go on there and like shout about them, because parents do really rely on other parents' views of places.
Yeah.
So like if you love Sheena's, go on and say, hey, we love Sheena's because XYZ. They are listed on our site. So feel free to leave them some love.
How do you feel about negative reviews though?
If it's not directly about like the business or the event, like if somebody's just on there complaining about like the site's hard to navigate or something that's not
one little thing they didn't like, or
I got in trouble for that yesterday on Next. I was on
what
Nextdoor.
I have to do is I have to run those comments up to national, and then they let us know if we're keeping the content or pulling it. And there are some guidelines. Off the top of my head, I don't remember all of them. I typically don't have those kind of issues.
I was like in Hank/Scott mode, kind of 330-ish.
Yeah.
And I got on Nextdoor and I said, if you are just getting on Nextdoor to slam a business, are you really using this app the way that you should be using it?
No, that's
The
not
answer is
appropriate.
no, because I'm a.
But I got obliterated by the
Really?
comments from people.
So
so people thought you should have been able to
Yeah,
skim a business.
I got.
I think that people just go on there and they're grumpy.
Sometimes, yeah.
And so, like, I moderate my neighborhood because I happened to complain to them that the territory was entirely wrong and half of my neighborhood didn't exist. So I wasn't asking for that, but I ended up with it. And so they have a whole checklist of what's allowed and what's not allowed. And a lot of times people get mad when things get pulled, even though it clearly, like,
States
violates that it's not allowed. So, yeah.
And I wanted to add that I love Hula Frog too. I mean, I'm not from here, and I don't think it matters, like, if you know the area or not. When you're a mom, like, and especially when you have younger kids, I think it's even more important.
Oh, yeah.
You can't be stuck in the house for that long, because you'll go crazy. Your kids go crazy. And
I use it when we travel. So we have sites in other areas.
Oh, that's a great
So
idea.
I use it when we travel, and I
Check it out in
appreciate the other editors.
yeah,
doing the work.
because I really think that, when you're not sure what you want to do, or you're planning, or maybe you're going to have family in town, or you just want to see what's going on, like that weekend, or
maybe you want to know when the next Disney on Ice show is going to be. Like, we do have like a save the date section.
Yeah.
And so you can be like, oh, I need to know that, and write it in your calendar.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
that stuff sells out fast.
yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's a great way to share it too. I know, like, being a part of Mom's Club with Bethany, like, there'll be events for Hula Frog. And, if I see something and I'm like, oh, other moms would want to do that, I can make it an event for
Mom's Club.
Mom's
and it
Club.
really takes zero effort.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's great. It just seems like there's like a wealth of information on there. So moms and dads, especially of young kids, definitely.
Yes. And if you know
definitely go
something,
check out
please
Hula
share
Frog.
it. Because, I mean, I'm one person. So, I try to know as much as I can, but I'm sure I miss things here and there.
So, we heard that you had previous military experience earlier. How did that affect your life, your process, your parenting?
So my husband is medically retired.
Okay.
So
Also military?
he was military as well. That actually really dramatically changed our life path. I'm not sure that I would have gotten out when I did if he hadn't been injured. So, next year, if I was still in, would be 20 years for me.
Wow.
I served 8.
So you must have been like 10 when you started. I don't know how you did
right?
that.
Not quite. We were very young when we got married. And actually, that's a whole funny story. And we kind of got married because we were both deploying to different places.
Okay.
And if we hadn't done that when he got hurt, I would have never been able to come home. So it worked out. It was crazy. Like, I know it sounds nuts when you talk about it. But that process, like, our first 2 years of being married were really hard because we were married and we left, and like 6 months in, he got hurt. And then it was trying to figure out a new normal of like, I was 25 at the time, being a primary caregiver for somebody that can't walk right now and is having surgeries every other day. And because we lived on the West Coast, I had nobody. Right. I mean, I had no family out there, like just kind of like dangling in the wind, if you will. And at the time, I was offered the chance to get out of the service. The reason I stayed in at that time was because I knew that the unit I would go to would become my family, and it was the only family I would really have. And I know that sounds crazy, but that's really kind of what they were for me. And then we decided when we were moving back, he grew up in Florida. We knew we didn't really want to raise kids in Florida. So we came here because I grew up here.
You have family here.
I have family here. It was a good area. And he went back to school. So he has a master's degree in political science with an emphasis on security studies. Right now he works for the post office, which obviously isn't like the dream job.
Exactly
but,
what he wants to do. But
yeah.
Eventually.
And so I worked at Macy's for a year. We got pregnant with Anya. And then I had all the health issues. And so that kind of like really threw off my plan.
Right.
Like, I had always planned to go back to work somewhere. I didn't really know where. I have a degree in art education.
Okay.
But at this point, it would cost me a lot of money to get recertified.
Right.
And is it really worth it? There's not a ton of jobs in that field. And so I was like, okay, I need to figure this out. And I realized the more and more I thought about it that I didn't really want to work for somebody else. I wanted to have the flexibility to do it on my own time. Right. Around a schedule that worked for us. And so that's kind of how it all started. And so like it's kind of fun, but we have a greenhouse, so we have copley hydroponics. And so my time that's kind of like zen for me is going and working in the greenhouse. And I usually do that without the kids if I can. And I'll go for an hour because it's quiet in there. Like, unless the fans come on, it's silent. I don't have to think about what I'm doing. I just go and I work on the tomato plants, or I pick the lettuce, or whatever it is that I'm doing that day. And so that kind of gives me that like time to think about, whatever I want.
I think
it's like Musa. It is like,
I think it's so interesting just hearing people's stories of like where they started off, where they thought they would.
I definitely
end
didn't
up,
see myself
like,
doing this
20 years ago, and then now just like in a totally different space, but being okay with it, and
I think that
appreciating the
time.
space you're in.
Like, I wasn't always okay with that. Like, for a while, I kind of hated it. Like,
sure.
I don't necessarily want to be home with 3 kids. I'm glad that I am, and I enjoy the kids, but like intellectually, it's
that wasn't your choice.
Really
initially,
boring. It wasn't my initial choice, and so like that was a struggle. Like figuring out how can I still have those conversations with people, like intelligent, intellectual conversations, when I'm at home with 2 and 3 foot tall people that just scream at you.
And you have figured that out, and so have you in what you're doing as well. And
like,
and things can change as kids get older, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I was going to say, like with what Bethany was mentioning, it's hard balancing everything, and I don't know if balance is the right word, because everything.
It is my word though for the year.
It is your word, yes, and it makes sense for you. And I think that what's hard is, you're still working, but you're home. And I mean, you've got your businesses, but having kids is like,
it's a lot of work.
Owning your own crazy business where who knows who the boss is. I mean, you like to say that you are, but your kids, they would say different. But I think for me, I had worked full time up until I moved here, and it was hard. especially like where I lived, I didn't have any family.
Right.
And I had little kids. And especially when I lived in Omaha, my husband would be traveling to the West Coast a lot. And, having someone to come shovel my driveway. Like I had a neighbor that just came and shoveled my driveway. And I was like, you're amazing.
The best thing ever.
Yeah. And I still remember it. But when we moved here, I was like, I don't want to work full time if I don't have to, because it's just a lot. And so I worked part-time at a nonprofit, and it didn't really work out with the location. And I have another part-time job that I'm doing now that works better with my schedule. But what I'm trying to figure out is, okay, that's like my job, and I'm passionate about not a morning mom, but like, how can I focus on that and do everything else and feel like I am, I don't know, not juggling all these balls and dropping them all at the same time.
Right.
Which I guess we always kind of maybe feel like we are in some areas.
I think.
Yeah, I think that's okay. Because, I mean, one of the biggest things we all struggle with is like fear of failure just in life in general. And like we're juggling all this stuff and we feel like we're going to fail in some way. And if we don't try.
Yeah.
And both you guys, I think what's really cool, and I know we have to wrap it up pretty soon here, Scott. Are we okay?
We're okay.
We're okay. I was just going to say both of you guys have really jumped out and done something really cool and are providing like cool services to the community. You're creating this community of moms. People who maybe don't feel like they have a mom community can come and jump on your site.
Sometimes the quotes are hilarious. Like sometimes you just need that like little bit of funny, or that little bit of like, oh, their day sucks as bad as mine did today. Like just knowing that you're not alone in whatever is going on.
Yeah. And I think people knowing that like there's different things you can do. Like with Bethany, like she found her own opportunities. And I think as moms, sometimes we look at other moms or what other people are doing and we think, well, maybe we should be doing that. Mm-hmm. But if it doesn't make you happy, then
it's probably not the right fit.
Yeah. And I think sometimes as moms, you might look at moms that work full time and say, oh, like I should be doing that, or vice versa. But
there's a lot of mom guilt.
Yeah. And I think that I'm kind of over that. But I had my moments of like, well, this person looks like they're working full time and they're doing it all. But you only see what people show you or what you think their life is like. And I think that we all have our struggles, regardless of whether we work full time, part time, work from home. And I think for me, it's really figuring out where my strengths are and how I can give back. I mean, I don't feel like I have as much of a tangible product as like Bethany has.
That's going to come though. Like based on the things that we've talked about, I think you're getting there. Yeah. But I try not to compare myself. And I think sometimes as moms, we get, I don't know if jealous is the word, probably, or we get envious but I think it's better to just be happy for someone else and to maybe see like how we could be more like them or how we can use the inspiration from what someone else is doing to do it our way. And I just feel like sometimes moms will say to me like, oh, I wish I could do what you're doing. And I'll be like, yeah, I can get out and run, but I also don't have a baby. And if, you know what I mean? Like sometimes I feel like moms comment and get upset about things. Yeah. So it's different for me. Like working out is a harder challenge because my dad goes to work at 4 a.m. So I'm sorry, I'm not going out to run at 2 a.m. That's crazy. Yeah, because you would be crazy all day long. I love child watch.
Well, look at the comment just came in from Ashley. She says, moms need to extend themselves the same grace to make mistakes as we're giving to our kids.
She's right. Yeah, I love Ashley. She's actually in Mom's Club with us.
Well, I want to expand on that too. Sometimes just a small word of encouragement goes such a long way. Like right now, we're here at Acme, and we can see everybody shopping behind you guys. Okay, There's nothing worse than being in that part of the line getting ready to check out and your kid throws a fit because you will not let them have any candy.
Right.
And then the kid's throwing a fit and now the other kids are there and you as a parent, everyone around is now looking at you because your kid.
Usually I'm thinking, thank you, Lord, it's not my child today.
Right. But my point is.
Until that day it is. And you're like,
a simple, hey girl.
Right.
We understand you. Goes such a long way.
Yeah.
just to encourage each other.
I'll just usually say if someone's struggling, I'll just be like, "Good job, mama," or "Good job, dad." Like if it's a guy,
I've totally
like,
done a
you're doing
Sam's
good.
Club trip where the kids screamed the entire way through the store, but I needed diapers and I don't remember like toilet paper or something, and it was like, I have to do this. I apologize to everyone. We're gonna just run.
Well, and I think it's interesting, and I think it's good that Ashley brought it up. When it's someone else's kid, at least I can speak for myself. I don't get mad or, whatever. Like if someone's throwing a temper tantrum, I, feel bad for them and have empathy. But why is it that we feel that way for other people? But then when it's our kid, I've gotten better at this, obviously. But like when my kids were younger, I had my oldest son, we were at a Pottery Barn. There was like a story time, and me being brilliant was I'm going to bring my 3 and my 1-year-old and I'm going to do this. And my oldest still kind of runs around, but like not as much as he did at that age. I mean, he was constant motion. So I thought it would be a great idea to take them to this story time. Well,
in my mind, I'm thinking, how much wine did you pack for yourself?
I think it was, I'm by myself. I need to keep both of my boys occupied. So let's go to a story time and have it be like a big, huge disaster. So my older son wanted to like grab all the books, like it was a library. And I'm like, no, you can't, because this is an event. Anyway, he started freaking out and had a big temper tantrum. And I was like losing it. And a mother came over and helped me. And I wasn't like mad at her. I was like, thank you, because I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And
you hit a breaking point at some point. Like they push all the right buttons.
I mean, he was literally going to take every book and like knock it off the wall. And I'm like, we can't do this. We're at Pottery Barn. We're going to get kicked out. Like security's going to come.
Break all the things.
You can't shake them. That's generally frowned upon.
Yeah.
And I felt at that moment, because again, my kids were like 3 and 1. I had no idea, like, I didn't understand that I wasn't the only mom that experienced that. So I'm thinking I just failed miserably. I took my kids to this event. Why is my son the son that's trying to knock everything like off the shelf?
All sitting like perfect little
Right.
angels.
The rest
but
of
what
the
you
kids are all
didn't see
sitting
was like the horrendous
What happened
fight
on the
to
way
get in
there.
the car seat or
Like,
know,
what did
whatever.
I do wrong that this happened? So I'm blaming myself. I'm getting upset. My kid's freaking out. My other son's in a stroller. Like, I'm trying to
And like
know,
every
I don't
single
know.
mom has been through that situation, but that's the part that, like you were talking about earlier, we don't see on social media. We're not taking the pictures of
Unless
the kid.
I post it, which I do occasionally.
Which sometimes
I'm
people
like,
do,
look
but
at this.
for the most part, it's the highlight reel, you know,
Yeah.
and it's
All right.
and
So, go ahead.
which that is really cool about what you're doing. You know, I know you said you're kind of still in the baby stages, but you are creating this community where people can be honest about what they're going through. It sounds like you want to be blogging about those honest, real things.
Yeah, and I just want people to know that, like, we have all been there, and it doesn't minimize the fact that someone's going through the same experience, but I think that when you share your own experience with someone else, they might not have ever heard it before.
Yeah.
So it gives someone an opportunity to say, oh, this is okay.
It's okay,
And I think sometimes you need to have that allowance, or you need to have that
I feel like it was
assurance.
a hush
that,
hush thing. Our parents' generation just didn't talk about stuff. So like you didn't really know what it was like.
or like when your kid literally throws themselves on the floor at the grocery store for whatever reason. It might not even be candy. It might be something else that's ridiculous.
Right.
We can't take home the bouncy ball today.
Yeah, or you get to the point where you're like, okay.
Yep.
You can't take it home, Bethany.
Can't take
You're
it
not-
home with you.
I'm going to hijack the show for 20 seconds.
No,
Sure.
go
I'm
for
going
it.
to hit this button right here. This down. Right. There we are. There we are. The producer cam. The producer cam. So, Dion, World Dion.
What's up, everybody?
All right, so we had mentioned that he was going to be starting with us. So today's his first day. He's shadowing me back in the production chair, and he's going to be starting off. One of his first projects will be to hype the upcoming Voices in the 330 competition we've got coming up. So we've got that. It's up and running. It's on February 22nd. So right now you can find that event on our page, and on the very top right now of our page, you can submit your 1-minute video for possible selection. So he's going to be working on getting some promotional materials together. They're going to be out this week. All right. So yay, Dion.
Yeah, definitely stay on the lookout. I have flyers ready for you by Sunday. And be ready.
All right. Sounds good, man. University of Akron is in the house. All right, ladies, I'm going to flip it back to you.
All right. Are we back?
We are back.
Okay. So,
Closing thoughts.
We are going to close. My closing thought during this whole last part was just about community. And these ladies are both creating community. You're creating community through people being able to go to cool events in the area.
And hopefully they meet and make friends. Like
exactly.
that is kind of the goal of, okay, I don't have any mom friends because I just had a baby. And, life changes.
Exactly.
And maybe one of these events is how you meet your best mom friend or, you find a group that clicks.
Right.
And that's kind of the idea, yeah.
And maybe in a different way, definitely in a different way, you're creating community through your site and just letting people know that it's okay to be themselves as a mom.
And I think what's really important, kind of like what Bethany mentioned, is I think moms clubs are really important. And I actually joined my first one when I lived in Illinois. I know I mentioned I lived in a lot of places.
All over the place.
But that's when I first discovered Moms Club. And they're all over the country. And I really think, yes, engaging online is important.
But you need face-to-face. You need, real...
Absolutely.
Like somebody real
interaction.
Somebody that you can call up and be like, I'm having a horrible day. Can you meet me at the coffee shop and just, sit down for 5 minutes? Or heck, let the kids beat the heck out of each other while you sit around a kitchen table and talk,
And some people will say like, oh, well, your friends will be the parents of the kids that your kids hang out with. And I'm not going to say that that isn't the case because it can be. But I feel like with Moms Club, at least I feel like I've had the opportunity to actually make friends with people, not just because they have kids the same age or near the same age.
Or because you have to see them and
Yeah.
so you become friends. Like I mean, not that that's bad because sometimes you can make really good friendships that way, but I feel like you get to connect with the mom as a person, not just because of the kids.
Yeah, and we do events, and I'm not trying to like shamelessly promote Moms Club, but I might be doing that at the same time. But I really think I try to tell people, especially because I've lived in a lot of different places and I know other moms that have moved with their work or with their spouse's work or significant other. It is really lonely, especially when you don't know anyone. And like Bethany mentioned, like when she lived on the West Coast, like just imagine what it would be like to live in a new state and not know a soul and have little kids. Like it's harder than I thought it would be when I moved as many times as I have. And I really feel like not having a community like Moms Club, because I didn't. I was a part of Facebook groups until I found Moms Club.
It's really not.
Yeah. So I think, that's a really good point. Like if you don't have a community, if you're a mom and you have great community, then awesome. There's lots of different ways to find community, but this is a really great idea for people. And I know I lived in New Hampshire for 4 years when I had my first daughter, and I felt that exact same thing where I actually would have loved to have a mom's club at that point because I didn't know people there, and it does get lonely. So reach out to these ladies. They're going to put their info on this as well. If you guys have any questions about what they talked about, I know that they would love to talk to you. I'm available as well if anybody wants to talk to me. I always put that out there too. So thanks for sharing your stories. I love hearing people's stories from around Akron. Be sure to tune in next week as we sit down with Patty. It's not going to be me. It's going to be Kathy, right?
Yeah, Kate. Kate gets a full astrological reading
at Willow Grace Mystic, as she's going to be doing a full and complete astrological reading about Kate's life. We are excited and nervous to hear what it's all about. Until then, you want to do this part, Hank? You want me to do it?
I don't know where I'm going, but there ain't no sense of being late. Ladies, join me and say goodnight, Shirley.
Good night, Shirley.
Good night, Shirley.
This podcast is a copyright of Moon Garden Media Limited.
Oh, this a lot of peanut butter.